We are the champions. We are the champions.
14.
No time for losers, because we are the champions. You guys want to talk about it? I thought so. How's it? Welcome to the championship episode of the Bearded Gooner Show. I am he, the Bearded Gooner, to my right. I always get this wrong. You're to my right, Rowan. But
wow.
Yeah,
you're left. To the viewers, right?
That's
viewers,
Rowan.
Right.
That's Ryan. That's the brand. How are you, gents?
Very good.
Yeah.
I feel like we won something.
So we're happy.
Hey, trophies are good. Trophies are nice. Trophies are shiny. I love it. So this is basically just going to be a fun episode, boys. Let's celebrate, yeah? After the shit season that we had, we actually hoisted a trophy. Can you dig it? I know I can.
Sucker. I love Booker T. So.
Yeah. I guess that was kind of Booker T.
Probably the best. I don't know how Stan feels, but one of the best entrance musics.
Yeah.
14 times.
14 times. 14 times. 14 times.
14 times, yeah.
I know everyone says this, but how awesome is it that we get our 14th FA Cup trophy because of our number 14? I think that's so cool. I love weird little coincidences like that. It's really cool.
Written in the stars, wasn't it, boys?
I love it. You know, and I think I said it on Ray's pod, or I said it to multiple people. I'm like, everything is lining up for us to lose this game. We have the ref we want. We're undefeated with Anthony Taylor in the FA Cup. We're the underdogs. We beat Man City in the semis. We beat Chelsea in the final in 2017. Everything's like adding up. So where it's like, okay, yeah, so like we're definitely gonna lose this game. Like I was so pumped. I was so confident that I wasn't confident. If that makes any sense. Just because I knew like everything was adding up, that I was like, oh, we're gonna blow this game. That's what's gonna fucking happen. And I was just.
I had a buddy of mine Friday night send me a text. He's a big sports bettor. And he says, "All right, what's your take? What's your take on the game tomorrow?" And I'm like, honest to God, man, it's 50-50.
Do we have the same?
I would not have been shocked with any result from that game whatsoever. If we would have won 4-0, if we would have lost 4-0, if it would have been a 0-0 draw into extra time and penalties, nothing would have surprised me. I really thought it was that. We were that close. We were that even.
We might have the same difference in the the same thing happened to me. I got text at 4. My buddy Addison, Everton fan, so sorry, shout out. He texts me, goes, "Hey man, what are you thinking for the game tomorrow?" And I go, "I don't know, like, what's the line? What's the thing?" He goes, "Arsenal, I think we're plus 255." So I'm like, "Oh, take that. Like plus 255, it's a good deal." Because I thought it'd be a close game. I think to draw, I think go to extra time. I think it was like plus 235. So even taking a draw, would it be a terrible bet? But I was like, don't bet Chelsea. I think Chelsea was like minus 130. I'm like, yeah, I don't do that. I was like, if it's me, bet on Arsenal. I was a little hesitant to say that, but I did, and he let me down.
Everything you just said to me is absolutely great because I don't understand. Like I can bet on football and I can bet on baseball, but I can't like the whole minus plus. I don't get into that.
Took me a while to figure it out, but it's not as hard. It's not that hard to. So like so if we're plus 255, essentially like if let's say you bet $100 on Arsenal to win, you would make $255 extra, obviously.
Oh yeah, all right, okay.
Yeah. So like if you're minus 100, you have to bet more than $100.
More than $100 to make okay. Stan, how are you, man?
I'm good, but like for me, because you're talking about predictions, on the downside, my missus got it right. She was banging. She was like, "Hey, it's going to be 2-1 to Arsenal." Boom. I was like, "Where did that come from?" But the worst thing about that is that she's not letting me forget it. It's like if I mention the FA Cup, she's like straight in there, like she's literally. I can now refer to her as the Oracle.
You better take her to Vegas right now.
Yeah, exactly. But I was certain it was going to go to. I just felt there was a draw written all over this game going into it, and that it was going to go down to penalties. That was my worst fear, that it was going to go all the way down to the wire. So the first, 10, 15 minutes leading up to that first goal, the way that they were playing around us at the very beginning, I have to admit to you, at the beginning part of that game, I was sat there watching it. I thought it was going to be a really bad day for us. Really did. But
really?
fast forward it, the first part of that game, I was really nervous. And Pulisic, who was the player that I identified in previous podcasts about, where there could be some damage, he was rampant. And he does look like a good player, doesn't he? He does look like a really good player. And he was all over the place. There was that one time where he was in our penalty box and he was just like jinking through. It was like going through a minefield of red shirts. You know what I mean? And I was just thinking to myself, it's going to be one of those days. So to come out of it at the other end, I mean, I don't know if there's such a thing as like football gods. But if there are, I was saying this to my missus. I was like, as the game went on and the decisions and the things that were happening, I said to my missus, like, the football gods are definitely favouring us today. And it's almost like, that shit that we put you through, all those bad decisions that we, the football gods, let you suffer over the years.
They threw us a bone.
You know what? We're paying.
They really did.
We're paying you back in spades today. Today we're balancing. When we're writing the check, we're going to write the balance. And it just felt like I didn't care. The more of the silly decisions that came along, I was just lapping it all up, because there's so many times as an Arsenal fan, I've watched us lose games where it's been not of our own making. It's been because of a really bad decision. And that's all we left to talk about. Do you know what I mean? Yep. That's what we're left to talk about, is the decision that cost us. So I was glad. If you want to say that some of those decisions were in our favour, I'll take it. Because at the end of the day, right, when you look back in the history books, it ain't going to say any of that rubbish. It's just going to say that we won the FA Cup for a 14th time. And I'll just take that all day.
Exactly. Hey, and this year, when we played Chelsea in the league, we got fucked by those decisions. So you know what? Well, you know what? We get fucked.
Jorginho should have been sent off.
Let me caveat it with this, though, right? And Frank Lampard was the one that said it for me, and he's their manager. Yeah, he said there were some decisions that could have been this or that, whatever. But he said at the end of the day, we did not play good enough to win an FA Cup final.
Yeah, you know what? I
reinforced it, and that's coming from their manager. So I don't have any complaints.
That's one of the things that I've said this before. Rowan, you know what? I'll come back to my thought. You haven't really had your say yet on all this, so go ahead.
No, so I think the guys have summarized it quite well. I just go back to the first thing that you said, that we didn't know whether we were gonna win 4-0 or lose 4-0, or what, and that's because of the inconsistency that we ourselves have, which is the reason why we don't know what it's going to be like, right? I mean, a Liverpool fan generally knows what they should expect. We don't know what to expect, but it's a work in progress, so you can't really fault that. But going into the match and the first 5 minutes, like Stan, you said, the way that they were playing, we were sort of under the cosh for about 20 minutes of that game until the first one. But I was doing a watch along with, not live, but with my friend who's a Chelsea fan. And when the goal went in, I was just like, you'd rather concede on the 5th minute than the 85th minute. Yeah. So, and that's what happened, right? Like, we rode it out. They had a couple of other chances. Mount could have put Giroud through instead of taking that shot, which was an easy save for Emi. Pulisic had another shot. And then it just went on, and like you guys said, these things balance out over the course of the season, right? Like, we didn't get. It was a red card was warranted against Jorginho when they played us in the league in the first game. They didn't get it. This time it wasn't warranted. They got it. What I'm happy about was that we got it in the important game. I'd rather get decisions in our favor in a cup final than a league game where we're not chasing the title, right? So, I was happy with that, but I do acknowledge that that Chelsea were unlucky with injuries, unlucky with decisions. But we've seen that happen to us so many times, right? And I like Lampard's, closing statement that he made when he was going off the field, that, all of these things were factors, but we also played those many games in those many days. So, fixture congestion was a problem for us as well. Decisions that went wrong, he can't control that. But they maybe lost because the decisions didn't go in their favor, but we won because we played well. We didn't win because of referee decisions. We were all over them. We scored the second goal before Kovacic went off. So I'm happy. I'm ecstatic, and in fact, like, sometimes there's a little bit of sadistic joy in winning something when things just go your way. People get
finally.
You can poke them easier than when you have a complete whitewash. It was a great day.
Stan, in the immortal words of The Rock, finally.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, exactly. I saw a couple of things. First of all, boys, FA Cup champs, cheers. And Ray Parler, if you ever see this is for you, pal. This is straight Jaeger. I don't add the Red Bull, man. I'm not a wuss. I don't do the bomb. Straight Jaeger for you, cowboy.
Is that what you're drinking? Jesus,
those are my early 20s. Jaeger for days. Now I have vodka. I mean,
yeah. I actually saw a few folks tweet out about Pulisic's injury and the Azpilicueta injury, and there were folks who were like celebrating this, and that is in bad taste, in bad form to me. I don't celebrate injuries ever. I don't care who it is. I honest to God, I don't. If Harry Kane blew out his knee and he did it against us, my heart would go out to him, and I'd have a good thought for his recovery, and that may rub some people the wrong way, but it's karma, man, and that's just it. I'm sorry, it's just, to me, it's not good to celebrate injuries. When Azpilicueta went off, the only thing I actually saw somebody tweet out that it's like, I'm gutted for Azpilicueta for the injury, but I'm also gutted because that was a red card waiting to happen. He had already gotten the first yellow trying to keep up with Aubameyang, and I don't disagree with that. There was going to be a second yellow coming if we kept lobbing that ball over the top and going out and picking on Azpilicueta. So, and I don't have I got to be honest, I don't have an agenda here tonight, boys. This is going to be the four of us sitting around bullshitting about the game on Saturday, just having a good time. You want to jump in?
I'm not wearing pants. I'm ready to go, boys. No pants.
What did you just say?
I'm not wearing
no pants.
I'm excited. No pants.
Hey,
no pants.
All right. You want to see Stan freak out and hide his eyes? Prove it. He didn't turn away. He didn't say he was ready. He's waiting. He was waiting for it.
Listen, you probably won't be able to see it. It's like a button on a fur coat.
That's the thing. I'm not wearing any pants either.
Yeah.
But let's define pants.
I'm not going to tell you to prove it because you will.
But let's define pants. Are we talking it in the American way, as in trousers, or are we talking pants, as in like underwear, undercrackers?
Undercrackers?
I never heard of under. Yeah.
All right. This is why I bring Stan on the show, because I am such an Anglophile. I need him on here to teach me these things. Undercrackers?
It's just a phrase we use for like. It's just a phrase for like underwear, underpants. You know what I mean?
Underpants. I get, yeah.
Yeah, we can say undercrackers, pair of undercrackers. It's just a. There's no rhyme to it. It's not a slang word. There's no rhyming slang to it. It's just another one in shreddies.
I gotta be honest though, Tanner. I'm a little upset we're on the Bearded Gooner and we're not on Arsenal fan circle, because it would just be the Arsenal fan circle jerk. And that's what we can be doing right now.
Ray's in the comments. I told Ray to come on. He hasn't. I sent him a link, and he hasn't come in. Underoos. There it is. Alonzo chiming in. Underoos. Who knows what underoos are?
But isn't that like a onesie?
No. Underoos were. Oh, this is awful. Oh, I really should not have gotten this excited about it.
A secret, right? I know we're going off the track, right? In that, there was that Avengers movie, and Spider-Man. The first time Spider-Man came into it, Iron Man shouts up to him, "Underoos," and that's how they introduced Spider-Man. And you all know I'm a big Spider-Man fan, but I didn't know what he meant when he said that. I thought he was saying "on the roof," as in on the roof, and the Spider-Man. And then someone said, "No, it's Underoos." I'm like, "What the fuck does that even mean?"
So what Underoos are, and here we go. This is going to cause a shitstorm. I shouldn't have gotten this excited. Underoos are tighty whities for little boys that have superhero characters on them. I know this because when I was a kid, I had Underoos. That's what Underoos are.
Okay.
Cool.
Anyway, yeah, good story, bro. Good story. All right, folks, that's it for tonight. We're out of here. Off the rails already. See, this is what winning an FA Cup does. It's what winning a trophy does. Puts me in a good mood. It gets me to drink again.
But listen, going back to what you were saying about the injuries, Pulisic, and that, I mean, you know, when I was talking about the football gods, because I was saying to my missus, we had a few decisions. I said to her, like, the football gods are in our favour. And then when he went running through, and then he just out of nowhere, he just tweaked and went down. I did say to her, "Oh, the football gods is like, no, stop, get away from that goal." And I wasn't happy to see him injured, but I did sort of like say, I was like, "Oof." But that's a touch because he was the biggest threat. You know, exactly. Me and my missus said to each other, "Wow." I mean, and I actually said to her, "I'm happy he's gone off, but I hope he wakes up in the morning and he's all right." And it was just nothing. Do you know what I mean? But I'm glad he's out of the game. I'm glad he's out of the game because he was dangerous.
And I get it. Believe me, I get it. He was going to be. He was by far their most dangerous player. By far their most dangerous player in the game. And
he's not a player, though, isn't he?
He's going to be. He is going to be one to watch. And as an American, you know, to see how well he has played thus far. Because I'll be honest, when I heard the transfer news, when you know, what was it? It was January of when did he actually go through? Was it January of 2008? No, January of 2019. January of 2019 when the transfer went through. And I thought to myself, I was like, yeah, shit. You know, he's going to go to Chelsea, and now I want to root for the guy, and now I got to hate him. You know, but I also remember thinking to myself, like, I don't know that he's ready for this yet. I don't know that he's ready for this league yet. And boy, he's absolutely ready. He's proven me wrong.
I'll even go I'm going to let this out, you know, and it's something that I've not told a lot of people, but I've seen him play a few times this season where I've seen him and I've said to myself, why ain't Nicolas Pepe doing that? I have said it to myself. You know, I have said that to myself. That's what I'm expecting for £72 million is that kind of player. You know, the way that it seems to me that Pulisic takes himself to the game. He will go and find the game.
Yeah, he doesn't wait for the game to come to him. He takes himself to the game. Yeah. And
he looked so distraught when he came off. He knew that he was affecting the game. He knew that he was having the game of his life. Do you know what I mean? Yep. And he almost scored a second.
Since the lockdown, since after the restart, he's just become unplayable, right? Like before that, he was having a patchy season. There were some good times, some not so good times. You can expect that in the first season. I'm excited for any Dortmund player coming. You know that I love Dortmund, and
you know how old he is.
How old he is?
Yeah, how old is he?
22?
22 or something, yeah.
Wow.
22. Yeah, pretty sure it's 22.
So next season, it's going to be a direct, comparison between him and Pepe. Came for the same amount of money, around the same age range, you see. You know, with Pulisic, you can tell that he wants to be the protagonist. He wants the ball. He wants to play. Pepe sometimes feels shy. You know, he feels shy. He doesn't
introverted.
He doesn't want to get involved. He just get involved in sport, and he has to improve that. But even Pepe has been an improvement in the last weeks, so that's that. But the first injury that went to that was Azpilicueta going off. I actually blame Chelsea and Lampard for that. This guy who is like nearing the end of his Premier League career at least. is isolated one-on-one versus Aubameyang and going down 3 or 4 times, what the hell did you think was going to happen there? I mean, he was either going to get rinsed or his hamstring was going to blow
up. His hamstring, yeah.
And both of them happened, actually. So, I was surprised to see how inactive Lampard was in terms of making a tactical change, because we did the same thing 2 or 3 times before we actually got the goal. And, it was basic. It's not like we played 20 passes and got cut through them. It was like just one ball. And
that's exactly.
Yeah. One more thing that I feel why we played really well here was because we didn't play particularly well in the last 2 games. Whenever we hype ourselves up and we big ourselves up and we are favorites going into the game, like against Spurs, we just blow it because we're too confident. Whenever we are under pressure, we sort of perform a little bit better. We take ownership. We know that we don't deserve anything. There's no divine right to, a win or a trophy. You have to earn it. And that sort of has helped us better. I didn't mind being the underdog in this final, and it's worked out in our favor.
No, I think we took on the underdog role, starting with, quite frankly, with Liverpool. I think in the Liverpool match is when that underdog role really started to be embraced. And maybe that's Arteta, going to the boys in the dressing room and saying, nobody's giving us a chance. So what do we have to lose? Let's just go do it,
For me, it almost felt like we went from underdog to favourite back to underdog in the space of like 3 games. We were underdogs, and then once the way that we played Man City, everyone was like, do you know what I mean? And we were kind of like, we kind of became the favourites. And then the way that we finished the end of the season, it was kind of a bit of a struggle. We kind of went back down to the underdog. It just shows you how fickle and how the wind can change in just the course of a few days.
It's like what
let's have it right. For me, this has been the worst season that I do remember for one reason or another. Even if you take out Laurent Koscielny kicking and screaming to leave, you take out Xhaka throwing off the armband and tell everyone to fuck off. Even if you to take out injuries, even if you take out and you just have COVID in there on its own, that on its own is just makes it one of the weirdest seasons ever. But you've got all of these things that happen, changing managers mid-season, to come out of it winning the FA Cup. It's no mean feat, and I'm one of those that still holds the Hira Cup in high regard. I always have done. Is it not the oldest trophy? It's the oldest football trophy, right? There is no older trophy in soccer, I believe. And for me, FA Cup Day was all about you get up in the morning, and the whole day was devoted to it on BBC One. The whole day, you had Grandstand or the World of Sport, whatever it was called. You had no other football matches on that day. And the whole day leading up to 3 o'clock to the kickoff, you'd have behind the scenes of the teams. You'd see the journey of both teams to get to the final. You'd have like a pre-recorded thing with the managers. You'd have the captains going through the team. There'd all be these things going on. It was like a massive event. Not so much as the afterthought that it is now. And I would love it to go back to that. And for Mikel Arteta to win it in his first season, to bring in a trophy since Arsene Wenger, because who was going to be the next person to bring in a trophy to get that out of the way? He's done it in what a short space of time, and it wasn't like we had one of those runs into the game where we had sort of like Wrexham, Accrington Stanley. We had to face the teams to get to the final. And I honestly didn't think that we were going to get past the quarterfinals. I was like, okay, we've got the quarterfinals. Just see how this goes. I was like, oh, okay, we're in the semi-finals now against City. Well, we're not going to get to the final, but let's give ourselves a good showing. That's what I felt.
I think we all did.
The journey probably ends here, but let's not go out of it embarrassingly. And then obviously you're thinking, when was the last time we played this team again? Oh, when football restarted. And how did that go? Because that was a terrible game. So you've got that looming. And it could have been very easy for some of our players to have thought, well, no one's going to expect us to win and have that jelly mindset. Do you know what I mean? But when we got into the final, I was like, wow, maybe we got a chance now. If we can do City in the semis, and we've done Liverpool in the league just before that, maybe we can take Chelsea.
Well, and to your point, where we went from being the favorite to the underdog, or the underdog to the favorite, back to the underdog. Well, we probably go in thinking, okay, yeah, we're not going to do this, and then we beat Manchester City, and all of a sudden, wait a minute, Arsenal might be the favorites to win this thing now, and then we shit the bed against Aston Villa. Despite a 3-goal performance against Watford, I still think we were poor in that game. That was not a good effort on our part, and that's where we go back to being the underdog again going into the game.
Yeah, and remember that Chelsea also beat an in-form United, and they just didn't beat them.
Very in-form, yeah.
They beat them.
Man, you gave them goals. De Gea decided to shit the bed, but they still beat them. They still beat them, so you can't take that away from them. But De Gea is shocking this season.
At the end of the day, as you say, you can only play the teams that are put in front of you, right? So that Chelsea did the job against Man United, an in-form United team. No thanks to the referees with their 18 penalties or whatever it was this year, setting a record. But no, they despite the penalties, United were playing well at that point, I think, and Chelsea, I think, really put it on them. Chelsea was the dominant side from start to finish in that game. So
that's exactly right. I'm not even counting how the goals went in, but even the gameplay, like they just nullified United. United tried the same thing third time. They've beaten them twice in the league, and then they tried the same thing for the third time and got undone.
Well, and there you go, back to Frank Lampard. I've said this before. I want something to happen at Chelsea where he leaves and he go back to the championship so I can root for him again, because there's something about him. He was Frank Lampard's that player that I would have loved him. He would have been one of my favorite players if he played for Arsenal. I hated the jersey that he wore. Other than that, I loved Frank Lampard as a player. I hated the kit that he wore. When he was at Derby as the manager down at Derby County, I would pay attention because of him, because I thought this guy's going places. This guy's going somewhere. He's going to be a good coach. So, mark of a good coach. United beat him twice in the league. What's he do? He comes back in the third time. You're not going to beat me a third time. So, yeah.
He was floundering yesterday, though. I said on Twitter, right, when it came, me and my missus both noticed, right, but if the water breaks, as soon as there's a water break, right, Arteta's straight in there, coaching, trying to help the team on, trying to give him a little bit more of advice. Frank Lampard, he's just like biting his nails and scratching his arsehole, man.
That's what you said.
He was just literally standing there, like biting his fingernails and scratching his hole. Do you know what I mean? And that just shows you the mentality. It's a small thing, a detail, but it just shows you the mentality. Mikel Arteta is constantly on the job. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Any opportunity to do anything to tweak, he's on the job. Frank Lampard is staring into space, man, pulling his fucking pants out of his fucking bum crack.
All you have to do is
my missus was the one that noticed it. She said, "Look at the difference between them."
Yeah.
And she said, "Why do you call him Fat Frank? He's not that fat."
I don't know why anybody. I don't know why they call him. But anyway,
he's got a big head. Listen, me and him could be related. We got big heads. He's got a big head.
Big head.
Frank head. I don't know what a big head. He's Fat Frank.
Big head.
Just think about it. One has learned their trade in the championship, a fourth place team in the championship, and one has learned with the best manager in the world, in one of the best squads in the world, if not the best squad in the world, and he's made those players better. So obviously he's learned a lot. And I love Pep Guardiola and the way that he plays, and his idea of football. And we seem to have got like a mini Pep Guardiola in Arteta, right? And I'm loving that, And he's even proved that he's probably better than Pep Guardiola, because he's beaten him, right? Like and a knockout tie that too. So you have the iPhone X, but then you have the iPhone 11, right? So maybe this guy's the iPhone 11.
Oh, what are you saying? My phone's Pep Guardiola now? All of a sudden, no, I'm kidding. No, point taken. And where was Darren's comment here? Actually, I wanted to bring that back up again because this was back to Rowan's point about we lose against lower teams but beat the bigger teams like Man City. And yeah, Rowan, you brought that up earlier. It's like, Arsenal right now are like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
Forrest Gump FC.
Forrest Gump FC. Exactly. That's great.
I think it also depends on the way teams play us too. Like the weaker teams, they're not gonna be flashy. They're gonna kind of sit back in the lower blocks and kind of let us play at them and be like, "Oh, that's what you got."
They're gonna do exactly what Villa did. They're gonna do exactly what Villa did.
That's my point. Is you have the Man Cities. They're gonna try to come at you with passing and flashy moves and a Cruyff turn. But like you see, when you see teams like Villa, they're going to beat you with hard work. And I think that's why the Premier League, to me, is the best league in the world. And I think that's why time and time again, these teams in the championship that come up, they're turning edge. The Wolves, Sheffield United, I'm sure there's fucking a million others. Two I could think of. But I think Leicester. I think Leeds, will put in a good show.
Leeds, yeah.
I think you make a really good point there, Ryan, about some of these teams that come up and they have a good showing. And the difference between teams like Wolves, Sheffield United, and perhaps Leeds compared to Arsenal, they've got players where every week the Wolves, those teams that you just mentioned, they're looking forward to that game because they're in the Premier League and they're playing another Premier League game. We seem to have players that just cannot get themselves up for certain games. It's like, it's Norwich, it's Brighton.
Yeah.
They see Manchester City or Liverpool on the calendar, they perk up because that's what these results have shown me. Above all, I've seen that there is a germ of a squad in there, and that there is a mentality in there that they can compete with some of the best teams going. So if they can do that, why are you not able to go out on a Sunday or a Saturday and do it against Norwich or Crystal Palace? Do you know what I mean? And that's what the problem is. I don't know if that's something that can be coached into the players that we've got, or we need to just totally clean the decks and bring players in. And that's why if you bring in players like Todd Cantwell or Ake and players from some of those teams, they will still be looking up to up for those games every week because they're playing in the Premiership, whether it's Manchester City or whether it's Leeds or Sheffield United.
Yeah, I think it's a mix of both. I think you got, I don't think we're flashy enough or technically enough. We're not a pretty football team. We're not there yet, but I don't think we're also not a team that likes to, bully teams either. So I think we have that like unhappy medium of we're not one way, we're not another way. I think that's going to come with better coaching. Shout out to you, Mikel Arteta. And I think just, the culture and the way we think and, having that leader on the pitch, hopefully we can find him because I don't see him, and having that kind of like, we're Arsenal. We're not going to back down from nobody. I feel like we get bullied too easily. We know where the kid gets picked on in class and we kind of don't say anything and like, I'll find a better time to mess the bully. No, you got to fucking do something now, But yeah, it's tough because like I said, I think it's a mix. I think it's a mix of just the way we play. And I think it's also just, culture. And I think we could get both things definitely coached out of us and, with a better transfer window maybe and a better coach, which is what we now have. So let's go.
Go ahead, Rowan.
For a long time, I felt, especially in the later Wenger years, that the players felt like they had some divine right to win the game just because they turned up, right? Like that's what they seemed like. And that was an issue. And then that has been allowed to continue because, there's no competition for most places. You can predict what the starting 11 was. The starting 11 that started, I think we all got like at least 10 out of the 11 players who were going to start. There was no confusion, right? And that's for most big games. And, there will be complacency that will set in if you don't have competition in each place, if you don't know that, your place is under threat or whether I will get an opportunity the next day, you can afford to go in there lax and think that, it's okay, I'm going to start next week anyway. Why do I put in the pressure here on myself? I technically am a better player than them. Look at our FIFA rating. We are a better FIFA team we are a better FIFA team than them. Things like that. That's how these guys will think, and that's not the way it goes. Like if you don't put 100% out on the pitch, you're not going to achieve anything, and that's what we've been taught again and again. But we seem to understand that, and then when we understand that there's a big game that comes around, and then we get a big game result, and then we think that, oh yeah, we're back again, and then we sort of bottle it once again. So that's basically the problem there. It's one is the attitude, the other is the squad depth and the quality of the squad itself. And the third thing that these guys must remember is that in the league, it's only 3 points. Whether you beat Norwich or whether you beat City, it's 3 points. So, if you want to be competitive in the league, you've got to treat every game with as much seriousness. And you have to take 3 points from every place that you can get, because there will be a time where against a City or a Liverpool, you might get 3 points. But against a team that has just come up, you won't get those 3 points, So that you have to think about that.
And I think you nailed it. You nailed it, Rohan, because the way I see it with the 3 points is I think as an Arsenal fan, and even look at the players, I think some of these players think like, oh, well, if we beat Man City, we get 4 points. If we beat Norwich, we get 1 point. It doesn't work like that. 3 points, 3 points. And I think that's why the teams like Wolves, Sheffield United, and just teams in general that, there's never really sometimes you have like those 2 or 3 bottom feeders. There's never really a huge discrepancy in teams. Obviously you have your Man City, Liverpool, and you have your Norwich, but for the most part, teams get points. And I think, the teams that come in here that want to fight, like the Wolves, like Sheffield United, they see every game as 3 points. We want 3 points. And I think to an extent, some of these Arsenal players see Man City is 3.5, and they see Norwich as 2. It's
exactly.
And to a degree too, I think some of our players and Rowan, all right, you and I, we got to talk backstage, man. This is turning into a problem now.
Whoa,
so, well, he's taking the thoughts out of my head, and we're agreeing on everything. But he's right. There's a bit of a mentality in this squad. And not just the players. I mean, this mentality goes almost into the fan base as well. There's an entitlement. No, we're Arsenal Football Club. We're going to beat Brighton just because of the name. We're going to beat Newcastle just because of the name. We're going to beat Aston Villa just because of the name. It doesn't work that way. You have to show up. And Ryan's right. You don't get style points. You score more goals than the other team. When the final whistle blows, if you have more goals, you get 3 points. Period. And you don't get style points.
You know why this cup means even more, or ending on a high means even more? Because apart from all of that, and like Stan was saying at the beginning of the show, and I just got me thinking that, even if you take out the Koscielny thing, even if you take out the Xhaka debacle, all of that, it was still a poor season. But what made it so poor was that in the first half of the season, we had become unbearable to watch. And this was the first time that I felt like that. I tuned into every game. But it felt like a chore. I was looking at my phone, I was doing something else. There wasn't, you couldn't just concentrate on the game for 90 minutes because it was just so boring and sideways, and it just wasn't that Arsenal. They were wearing the kit of the team that I love, but this wasn't the team that I loved. It just wasn't, and that was a big downer. And to end it on a high, on a positive note, where we see a future, where we can rely on the manager, where we believe in the manager, that's what the positive is out of the season.
Yeah, Stan, I think you wanted to say something there when I was talking.
I'm just interested that now that the season has now finished proper, His season is now done. I just wondered what everybody's grade, if you was going to give Mikel Arteta a grade. I don't know if we're doing it in letters, as in A, B pluses and all that, or we're going to give it 1 out of 10. I just wondered if we had a grade for Mikel Arteta, what would it be?
Before we go down that road?
And we got to also remember as well, it's not a full season that we're talking about.
We're FA Cup champs. Cheers, boys. Ooh, that was a big one. That's what my prom date said. No, she didn't.
Oh, you seem like a button on a fur coat type of guy, Tanner. Not that there's anything wrong with that. But.
Yeah, you give me too much credit. You give me far too much credit. Far too much. Listen, I'm a grower, not an anyway. We're way off the rails.
Me too.
So 1 out of 10. Just for what? 28 games? Is that what he managed?
So how many games? At 28.
Yeah, I think it's 28. 1 out of 10. Does it have to be a whole number, or can it be a half?
Whatever you want.
I'd give him a 7.5. I want to give him the 8 because of the trophy, but losing to Aston Villa, losing to Brighton, just that's going to bring it down a little bit. But just on the job that he's done, I would give it a 7.5 because I think the signs are there. You know, to be able to beat Manchester City, to be able to beat Liverpool, you win the FA Cup. We probably should have done to Villa and Brighton, quite frankly. What we did to Norwich, we should have just pummeled those teams. And I'm not saying that as an entitled Arsenal supporter. I'm saying that as someone who, I honest to God, I try to look at this club. I try to look at all of my favorite sports teams from an unbiased point of view. And if we're shit, I'm going to tell you we're shit. And we were shit a lot more often. We were shit far more often than not this season. Even despite winning some games that I thought we were shit, Watford being a primary example. But I'd say 7.5. I like everybody in the comments is chiming in. Yes, please. Give us your grade for Mikel Arteta out of 10. Ray, 8 out of 10. Darren, 8 out of 10. Yeah, all right. Ooh.
For me, I think it's an 8 out of 10. And I mean, I'm even tempted to give him an 8.5 because I don't know what else he could have done. He took over the team when the team was totally down. We had like nothing going for us. And the first game that he faced was Chelsea. That was his first game in charge. And that game itself, you could see the change. And we could have got 3 points there, but for the fatigue and we couldn't just play his style. From then, there have been just a handful of games that I would say where I felt like the team was uninspired. You know, the Burnley performance, the Sheffield United performance, both of these draws, just reminiscent of, what was happening earlier in the season. But apart from that, he has really motivated the players. He's got the results. And the best thing is that he understood the limitations of the team. He understood what the limitations were, and he's played with that. He knew that, defense is a problem, so let me put 3 at the back. That's not his preferred formation, but he's done that. That means that he's tactically aware. He's played in that manner. And what's been also impressive is the interviews that he's given, of course, are impressive, but the most impressive one was after the Liverpool game, in which he said that, after such a win, you expect the manager to be diplomatic and to say that, yeah, these guys are just the best and, we don't need anything and stuff like that. But that, in terms of quality, there is a gulf in class, and I do see that, And then he has sort of ousted the board also at times, and then he's put his own neck on the line, and he said that I think that what the board is doing is right, and I've been involved, and I agree with them, and I wouldn't say that if I wasn't in sync with them, which means that I should trust him. So he's not just a manager who's just focused on the next game, but he's also focused on sort of the future. And a lot of things that have happened in the team have I don't think it's completely his fault, because like Ryan was saying, right? Like we sometimes find it easier against a bigger team because we have to hit them on the counter, versus breaking down let's say a lesser team, so-called lesser team. And that's because right now we don't have a midfield. We can't really find that killer pass. We can't build that momentum, that pressure to pin them back and then to tighten the screws. We're just not able to do that. But that's not his fault. So I think he's done a fabulous job till now. 8.5 from my side.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna be
fair.
I'm gonna be odd man out, and I'm thinking of a letter grade, but it's tough. You want a grade. I'll give you a number if you want, but it's tough. You have to kind of grade him on a curve because these aren't his players. He came into a shit show. He's never managed before. And I honestly don't even want to grade him, if that makes sense, because the work's not done. The work just started, baby. It ain't close to being done yet. He's gotta get his hands dirty. He's gotta pick up a shovel and start digging, and it's gonna take him a while. But I will say this season he's kind of weeded out some of the bad apples. He's kind of. I say this on a bunch of podcasts, and I do mean this. I think he came into this team big dick swinging, and I think he showed these guys, like, you're not gonna fuck with me. Look at Guendouzi. Look at Ozil. Yeah, I don't even know who Ozil is, but that's not the point.
No. Can I ask a question real quick? Just totally real quick, then come right back to it.
All
yes
right.
or no? Aubameyang's celebration on the goal against City when he was doing the whole. Like, is that what that was? Was it big dick swinging, baby?
Might be.
Is that? I don't know. I gotta be honest. When I saw it, that's what I thought.
You gotta assume Aubameyang's packing. He's definitely got
the baby arm that he has tucked in his pants. Anyway, sorry, Ryan.
I will say this one, but when he did that, my missus saw that as well, and she did say, "What's with the big dick swinging?"
I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong, baby.
That's what she said, right?
No, yeah. So, I mean, it's tough. He's done a great job so far. He got us an FA Cup. So, I mean, it's the reason why I'm having a tough time finding a grade is just because, again, like, he could shit the bed next season, and he's done well, but it's hard to really. I don't know. It's hard to really say, but all right, I feel like this is too high, but I'd have to go like 8.5, like what Rohan said. I just think he's done things that I didn't think would get done. I didn't think he'd be able to really freeze out Ozil, really fucking doozy over. But I mean, hey, if he's a bad egg, he's a bad egg. There's nothing you can do about it. He's really kind of made these guys want to play for the team, play for the badge. I mean, someone like an AMN, we heard he's trying to leave and he wants game time. And I think Arteta has found a role for him. And me and Max we cross swords all the time with our erections about how much we love AMN. And I really want to see him stay. I really want to see him play with this team. And I really think he's got an opportunity. And I think a lot of these players too, I mean, Tierney, obviously, we kind of knew, but Dani Ceballos is another one where you're just like, he was trying to leave. In January, he's like, get me the fuck out of here. Help. The show Ian Wright was on in England. Help, I'm stranded. Get me out of here. Dani Ceballos was on that show, too. And now, now it's looking like he's going to stay another season on loan. So, I mean, I like the way he's going. I like what he's doing. But again, like, you have those hiccups. You have those bumps to the road, those Brightons, those Villas. And to be honest, his substitutions haven't really been great. He's not – for someone who has a good football mind and who apparently has, formations and clips pinned up on his wall at his house and stuff, really that was something that I was kind of like, I thought he would be a little more creative. But he can be creative. I thought he'd be more of a mastermind than a like a principal where like disciplining his students, but he's doing that too, which I love. So yeah, I'd have to go 8.5. I was gonna give him a B+, but it's like the same thing.
Remind me, Stan. I want you to answer your own question, but I want to go then, Ryan. Remind me the substitutions thing. I have a comment about the substitutions, but Stan, go ahead.
I think if he'd been in charge for the whole season and this is how it had ended, I would have probably given him a 6.5. But
you mean that if he was in charge for the whole season and we still finished 8th?
Yeah.
Under him in charge. Yeah, of course.
If he's in charge the whole season.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been good enough. But the fact that he's come in midway with what was fucking basically a fucking bonfire, blazing in towering inferno that he walked into, and players don't know whether they want to stay or they go, and everything else, to come out with an FA Cup win this quickly in his tenure, with everything that's going on, I've got to say, an 8 for me, a nice round 8. There's no mean feat to win the FA Cup. Do you know what I mean? There's how many managers are there in the Premiership that have never won it? Quite a lot, I'd imagine. Do you know what I mean?
Let's not forget,
I can think for 14 years that no one's won it other than us. Yeah. So, I mean, it's no mean feat for him to get that. So, yeah, I'd go with an 8. And
yeah, let's not forget, he, like Max said, and like he loves talking about poop, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. To each their own. But we have a lot of turds. There's a lot of turds in this team. There's turds that started against Chelsea and still came out with the win. So the amount of, I guess, shit he's pulled out of said turds is quite remarkable. And I got to give him kudos. It's definitely him, and he's doing such a good job with his team.
They say, innit, you can't polish a turd. Well, obviously you can, because fucking Mikel's doing it. He's fucking buffing the shit out of
putting a pretty bow on it. Yeah. He's doing a good. He's doing a good job. But yeah, like Stan said, if it was a full season, I don't know. But I'm more way to spell polished, Max. Fucking idiot. Anyways, the thing that I'm more impressed about is, obviously we won an FA Cup. It's great. I just love the fact that he is really. You just figured out he spelled that wrong. Yeah, he's not the sharpest tool.
I didn't even look at it. I found it and put it up. Yeah, I didn't even look at it. Polish shed. I don't know. But the thing that, like I said this again, and I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, but the thing that really impressed me the most about Arteta is just him, I guess, in a way, being a principal and kind of disciplining his students and kind of, righting that ship, punishing AMN early on in his thing, Guendouzi, Ozil, the list goes on. And, some people, they turn I think AMN could be a player. He turned him around, and I get like goosebumps talking about it. I think he's going to be so good. Let me ask. All right, so let me ask this. All right, the substitutions. Just real quick comment. I had a thought about this actually, and it was probably a thought about 2 weeks ago, and I kept meaning to mention it on the shows that I've done, the shows I've been on. The thing with the substitutions, that's the one knock on Arteta that I keep hearing from a lot of people. I keep seeing it on Twitter. I've heard it from different panelists on different shows. Excuse me. The one thing with the substitutions, I'm wondering if that's not his way of the proverbial test. I need to know what I have to work with these players. So it's not the substitution I want to make based on the game where we stand right now, but I want this player to get some playing time because I want to know what I have. You know what I mean? So
go. I'll answer yours because
No, go ahead. I've given my thought on it. It's just I'm not saying that's what he's doing. I'm saying it's a possibility that he says, look, I can't play all 20 guys that I list on my team sheet for a game. I can't play all 20 of them, but I need to know what I have in certain players, especially those that I really think are going to be around next season. Let's face it. Socrates came in. All right. I swear he got game time as a substitute in one other game since the restart. I could be way off my rocker. I could be completely wrong on this. But Socrates guy can't get on the pitch. I don't know why it's stuck in my head that he did, but if he didn't, then Saturday was the first time that he's put that shirt on and actually played in a meaningful game since the restart. So there's a guy that you say he hasn't gotten in situations where he probably could have, maybe even should have to a degree, but you're it's almost like he's going like for like with the substitutions. But I just think the substitutions were more, I want to see what I've got in this player. That's why I'm bringing him on. I'm probably totally wrong. I'm probably, completely full of shit, but it's a thought because it's the substitutions are the thing that I keep. That's like the one knock with Arteta is substitutions are piss poor. Well, but so if he's this good a coach, tactically, formation wise, all this, he's that good. How could he be that bad at substitutions? Unless there's an ulterior motive to the substitutions. Ryan, go.
Okay, so I do like what
your time is up.
No. But no, I like what you say. But a big example in that is the North London Derby. So Saka came on for Pepe in a like-for-like substitution, and then like 5 minutes later, I think Kolasinac or Tierney came off, and then Saka just went right back to left wing back. Now in that situation, I didn't like the like-for-like sub Saka for Pepe. It doesn't make any sense. I didn't think Pepe was having a great game, but I think Pepe offered us something and kind of gave Jose Mourinho. He made Jose think a little. Bringing on Saka would have gave him another problem to that puzzle, and I think sometimes I don't think he doesn't get creative enough with his subs. He does too. And I think going back to what you're saying about how he wants to test the water to see what's going on. If you're going to do that, to me, even more so, you should not be doing like for like subs. Because you're not really seeing what you could do with the team. You can't really – because right now I almost see Arsenal as like Play-Doh. And we have so many pieces, again, duplicate pieces, same pieces, whatever the fuck, and some pieces just don't fit. Not the right puzzle. So I think he can really experiment and, Saka can play left wing back. He could play left wing. He could play right wing. Obviously, a young player like that, I don't want to give him so many different jobs. But I think, we're not talking about Saka, we're talking about Arteta and his substitutions. And I think that, I think he needs to get a little more creative. And I think, that's just an example. That's the one thing I can think of. The like for like for Saka for Pepe, at that time, it didn't really make any sense because, we needed to, again, confuse Jose, give him some, because all they did was, oh, cool, you want to do like for like? That's exactly what he wanted. Just, he's going to keep sitting back, keep doing his thing. And yeah, I mean, we need to see what we got, but we need to see, what kind of pieces of the puzzle these pieces are. I don't know. I kind of lost myself, but yeah, no, that was kind of what I wanted to say. I just started rambling.
It's all right, Stan. I think you were kind of smiling to yourself there while I was going off. So what's on your mind?
It was something in the chat box. It was something completely what wasn't being said that took me away. But listen to what he was talking about. I can't remember what it was now. But for me, with the substitutions, it's like when he first came in, and this is well before the lockdown, I noticed a few games where we maybe would be struggling and he would finish with still unused substitutions, which I find that sometimes a little bit criminal. If you're struggling and things ain't going right, you don't finish with change in your pocket. You use everything that you've got. But I always looked at it at, this is just a symptom of having a manager that's never actually stood on the touchline. He's done all of the coaching. He knows how to probably talk to players, but he's now having to make in-game decisions on the fly. It's different if you can go up to someone like Pep and whisper in their ear and go, maybe we should think about doing this, or maybe we should think about doing that. He's now having to actually do it himself.
The buck stops with Mikel Arteta.
Yeah. And
like in your exams before, yeah, he could go up whisper the idea, exactly. But the buck didn't stop there. So yeah.
Yeah, but Pep doesn't have to take it, or he can, but the buck stops with Pep. Now it's Mikel, And I always felt that one of my, if I'm looking for a criticism with Mikel Arteta, it was his substitutions. Sometimes I think he got it wrong, or he looked like he was gonna make a substitution, and then he would have the substitute stood on the touchline for ages, and then it was almost like he was standing there second guessing himself. And this is probably a product of someone that's just trying and maybe overthinking everything just a fraction too much, because it's his first rodeo. And now that he's got his first season out of the way, well, it's not a first season. I'm hoping that if he's a guy that goes back and analyzes himself and likes to go back and say, well, let me look at I'm going to give my players a grade and look at their performance for the time I've been in charge. But let's see if I can do that about myself. I'm hoping that he will look back and reflect on the way that he may have made some of his substitutions or his indecisiveness. There were a couple of games where you'd see players standing on the touchline and like 5 minutes would go by and he's still standing there and he's like that and he's directing the players and he's not, you know, if you've got to shit or get off the pot at some point, you know, you got to shit or get off the pot, and it looked like he was caught in a little bit in between. But you have to accept these things when you've got a manager that's never done it before. These are the little things that may happen. I
just want to say that was a great point. I wanted to say that too. I just forgot. He overthinks him. Trust me, as someone who is a big overthinker, I am a big overthinker. He is definitely an overthinker.
He is going home at night after every practice, after every training session, after every match, and he is overthinking every single decision that not only he made, but that he didn't make. He's overthinking and second guessing every instruction that he shouted from the touchline during the match.
But I also want to add as well, going back to the substitutions in the cup final, sometimes I get it when you do a like-for-like change. You take off a Pepe and you put on a Saka. If you're happy with the formation that you've got and you're keeping on top of the opposition, sometimes it's a case of, I want to keep doing the same thing, but I just want some fresher legs on that side of the pitch because those legs are getting tired now. And if I don't get the fresh legs on, we could get slightly overrun. That fullback might get the better. I've got this fullback right under pressure now. Now what am I going to do? He thinks that Pepe's getting tired. Now he's going to have to face a fresh Saka. So I get that sometimes. Not every time a substitution.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah.
You don't always have to change. You don't always have to change. The substitute doesn't always have to change the dynamic of a game. It doesn't have to change the formation or your tactical plan. It literally can just be a substitution for fresh legs.
But I also thought that
that's a fantastic point, by the way.
Pepe, for me, who I've been very critical of, I thought that was one of the best games that I've seen him play. It's so unfortunate that he couldn't crown it with a goal that was chalked off. But that one tackle, do you remember there was one tackle when it was called, the commentator called it, well, that's a very a unique style of tackling. He kind of like jumped in front of the player, almost like he was doing like some kind of a martial art effect, and his leg came around the player, but it was effective. It wasn't the prettiest lookings of tackles, but what I liked from that was that Nicolas Pepe was back just on the outside of our penalty box, going to make that tackle, and he was there trying to help out his teammates. And I haven't seen a lot of that. Do you know what I mean? He wasn't waiting for the ball just to be brought to him. He was going back to see if he could help out his teammates. And I enjoyed seeing that, and I'd like to see more of that from Nicolas Pepe.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, just thinking about whatever you guys have said, it's a combination of three things. I think, you know, like Tanner said, maybe it's also the players auditioning for him, so he wants to give them as much time. It's also you know, like you guys said, it's you know, sometimes he wants to make changes to change the game or keep the game. It's fine, but what I also think is the limitation of the squad, right? Like the squad that he has, there isn't that much quality off the bench. You know, it's not changed so much. You know, it's not like he has you know, Kevin De Bruyne coming off and then he has a Bernardo Silva going on, right? Like that's not happening. There's a massive drop in quality as well, and he has to think about that. And you know, maybe about his overthinking, you know, that's maybe a positive, because you know, that shows that he cares and he's not overconfident with what he's doing. He's always questioning himself, and when he questions himself, he will become better. You I think in terms of his tactical plan, he's always been quite sure, especially in the big games. He knew what to do. He tactically changed that game after the first water break. That is when the game changed, when the water break happened. And Lampard was, like Ray said in the comment, Lampard was late with his substitutions. He was late with reacting, and Arteta got the better of him. Substitutions have been a problem, but he will learn. I just trust this guy. What he's shown me in the first, in his first half of the season that he's managed, there's just been so many positives out of there. I would not have rated him if I was going to say anything negative or rate him negatively, because for me this season was a write-off anyway. I'm going to start judging him, and which still continues. I'm going to start judging him from game week 1 of next season or the coming season now. Whatever he has said in his press conferences, I like what I've heard. Now I will judge based on what happens in the transfer window. It's important also to remember, he's, like Ryan said, he's ousted players, and sometimes that's easy. But to actually turn them around and get them playing for you again, that is the more difficult part. And he's done that with a couple of players like AMN, like Ceballos. AMN and Ceballos, I thought AMN we could cash in. In fact, we spoke privately also about that, right? But now I think he's an important player for Arteta, because he trusts him. He's put him in the 2 most crucial games of his managerial career.
And I think it's also now looking back, it's also interesting how, like, I'm gonna use my boy. I don't know if he's still my boy, but he's still in there. Guendouzi. With Emery, Guendouzi played every fucking game. He ran ragged. And looking back now, obviously hindsight 2020, you kind of ask yourself, and you kind of think, was Guendouzi played so much because he was such a problem, and now is Emery's way of dealing with it? Like, he was such a problem on the pitch, and he was such a hotshot asshole know-it-all that Emery's just like, okay, I'm just going to play you every game and not deal with you. Whereas now, because now all of a sudden Arteta comes into this thing, and I don't really think Guendouzi got better or worse. Yeah, he had his good games, he has bad games, but then all of a sudden you're like, oh fuck, he's nowhere near the team. He's not playing. He's not in the squad. He's training by himself. So I think that's, maybe that's more of a knock on Emery than it really is a positive for Arteta. But, I'm sure we'll keep beating this thing. But, it's just, I just love it. I love how, we could see what he's doing isn't really bad, because you have, so when you look at it, you're like, oh, well, fuck, why is Arteta ousting Guendouzi? Guendouzi could be a real player for us. And all the pro Guendouzi players, all the ones that are sucking at his teeth, which I was latched on for a little bit. But, you look at it and you go, AMN, Ceballos, I don't know, you probably name a few, but those are the two main ones that I really care about. They're fucking new play. They're like transformed to an extent. And in a way, man, we've seen that side of him a little bit, but now it's, like Rohan said, he played him in his 2 most important games as a manager so far for us. So sky's the limit, and I am excited.
Yeah, with Arteta, so we all, I think, gave Arteta a half score. I think I gave him a 7.5, and I think you guys all gave him an 8.5. Right?
I said 8.
Did you say 8? Well,
I was going to say 8.25.
So is the FA Cup worth half a point in this little grading system that we have?
I included the half in there. It would have been 7.5 without it.
Well, yeah. That's it. I mean, yeah. So
stop trying to milk it.
What's that?
I said, stop trying to milk it. You're getting an 8, right? That's what you're getting.
Yeah.
8.
Yeah. For me, the grading thing, the Villa game is what stands out to me, and part of that is because it's fresh in my memory. But after the masterclass against Liverpool and against Manchester City, and then to have that just debacle against Villa, it kind of showed me that, okay, he's not quite there yet. So, but
I completely agree with that. I don't completely agree with that assessment. You wanted me to say,
oh baby, let's go.
It's on now. Let's go. It's on now.
I said this a couple of moments ago because I feel like we don't have the team to break down a team that's put 9 men behind the ball. We just don't have that. That's not in our skill set. That used to be our skill set, that we would do these quick 1, 2, 3 passes.
Right.
Yeah, just the Wilshire goal comes to mind. That where we've just played them off the park and they're just standing there. We don't have that. And if you don't have an active midfield which can control the ball, you don't have a player who can feed the ball, you don't have a striker who's in the box, how are you going to score? I mean, these are all issues that are going to, I think this is less to do with Arteta and more to do with the team that he has. He doesn't have a midfield. Against Villa, he played with 2 midfielders. If you want to fault something, then you could say that why was he playing with 3 defenders and not an extra midfielder there? But, I thought after the game, maybe he's still continuing it because we're doing well and then this is all a tryout for the Chelsea game. So I wouldn't judge him for the Villa game because it's been a while since we've been able to break down teams. It's just not happening for us now. And it won't happen until we have an active midfield. Midfield has now, all of a sudden, after this final, I am even more worried about the midfield than the defense. Just think about it. We had 2 midfielders that were there, and those were the only 2 midfielders that we could have put there. We didn't have a third midfielder. If we got an injury to our midfielders, we wouldn't have any replacements for them. It would have been a very bad show. Right now everybody can slag off Xhaka, but he's the necessary evil. Tell me one guy who will do a better job than Xhaka and Torreira in that position. Nobody will.
I was just going to say, there's a reason why we're playing long ball at the moment. It's almost like we're trying to bypass the midfield, right? Sometimes Kieran Tierney's playing in 2 positions. He's in the left centre back position, and then the next time you see him, he's out playing in a sort of like a left wing back position and lobbing the ball forward to Aubameyang on the break. And I don't think that's how we're going to be continuing to play moving forward. But you've got to give Mikel Arteta his props that he's found a system that works with the tools that he's got. There's no way that he wants to move forward with 3 centre backs, only 2 in midfield, and having to have Kieran and Tierney lobbing the ball up. It's working for now, and
he wants a 4-3-3. He wants to play the 4-3-3.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, something like that.
I've been beating this drum for a while with Arteta. He comes in to a squad that he inherits. This squad, they're not his players. They're not his players. So what does he do? He devises a system that is going to put them in the best position to enhance their abilities. This is the mark of a good coach. This is the mark of a great coach who comes in, he looks around and he says, okay, I want to play a back 4, but I don't trust any of you little goofballs to play a back 4. So I'm going to play a back 3 where you all have protection, and I'm going to play wing backs. I'm telling you, going into next season, you're not going to see the same formation throughout the entire season. He's going to change things up, and it's going to be not only because I think the City and Liverpool are still going to be, they're still going to be, the cream of the crop. They're still going to be the top echelon. And I think there's still going to be a noticeable difference between 2nd and 3rd place. Okay. Barring something unforeseen. I think 1st and 2nd are pretty much etched in stone. From 3rd to 6th is wide open. 3rd to 8th, 3rd to 10th is wide open right now going into next season. So that being said, I think you're going to see from Arteta different formations and different styles depending on the opponent. And that being said, I'm an advocate of don't let the game come to you. Like we were talking about Pulisic earlier. He brings himself to the game. He doesn't wait for the game to come to him. That being said, I think when you look at the opponent, you're studying their weaknesses. How can I beat them? And that's what Arteta is so damn good at, is that he could coach a back three with wing backs. He can coach a conventional back four. You know what I mean? This is why I just think the future is so bright. I gotta wear shades, even though these are.
Can I
just please.
Yeah.
Like what you're saying about how we're talking about moving forward and what we think Mikel Arteta is going to do, and I think we've all agreed that in a perfect world he wants to play a back four, and it kind of segues in nicely to he's only going to be able to adapt to the way that he wants to play if we get the reinforcements that he wants.
Sure.
Because we ain't got them tools yet. So I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are on some of the rumours that are going around at the moment, and two of them in particular are really getting louder and louder, and that's Philippe Coutinho, a loan deal with money exchanged, and Willian from Chelsea, another one that's really getting louder and louder.
So let me. I'm not going to answer it. I'm going to throw it back out to you. I'm just going to piggyback with a comment real quick. So the Willian thing, there are. Yeah, all right. I'm going to preface this with the ITKs, the in the knows. So nobody has confirmed this yet, but there was one ITK account that did actually. He's pinned it to his account now, which to me that's a pretty. You're putting it up there. You're pinning it to your account. So if somebody goes to your account, that's the first thing they see. And he has said Willian to Arsenal is a done deal. So, yeah, let's start with Willian.
What I don't understand is with Willian, is it a case of Chelsea want him to stay, but they don't want to give him the length of the deal that he wants? Or is it a case of, no, Chelsea are like, you've got to find a new place and he's coming to Arsenal? Because I was under the impression that they liked him at Chelsea.
I am under the impression that Chelsea want to keep him. They offered him a 2-year deal with an option of a third. He wanted the 3-year deal, and he's pushing for the option of a 4th year. And supposedly that's what Arsenal are offering right now is a guaranteed 3-year with an option for a 4th year. So I'll answer real quick. I think there is a role here for Willian, and Rowan and Ryan. We were talking about this in our Twitter group chat, and Stan, I'll just fill you in. Willian on the left, Aubameyang through the center, and Pepe on the right as a front three. But the term, the money isn't really going to scare me with Willian because I don't think he's going to go over 200,000 a week. The money, it's the term that scares me. I like the 2 years with the option of a third. I don't like 3 years with the option of a fourth.
How old is Willian now? How old is he?
32. Or he'll be 32 by the time the season starts. He's either 31 or 32. I'm fairly certain of that. So the term is what's going to scare me off. But that being said, and Ryan, you made a great point in our group chat on Twitter with the term, we're bringing in a player that doesn't have much resale value. But we're not buying him. He's coming in on a free. So therefore, if we sell him after 2 or 3 seasons for £10 million, that's a net profit on the player. So I don't hate the idea of him coming in, and I think there's a role for him here. So, and that being said, that the Willian on the left in a front three. Sorry, real quick, guys. The one thing that I feel like everyone is going to throw at us is, but what about Saka? We just extended him. Like we're trying to make him an important part of the team. I think that Mikel Arteta may see Bukayo Saka as a left-sided midfielder rather than a left winger or a left forward, something of that nature. Lot to think about.
Yeah, from my perspective, I mean, see, Willian, since the restart, again, for Chelsea, he's been the second best player or almost at par with Pulisic. I've watched their games, and in fact, he scored more goals than Pulisic. Pulisic has created them, and he scored a lot of them. He's even taken penalties for them, right? So, the stats are good, but I have seen Willian because, like, my best friend is a Chelsea supporter, and I have seen Willian at Chelsea and how frustrating he was. Like, he was poorly out of form for almost the whole season until the restart. he was not in form, and getting him would be another Mickey situation, I feel. Like, and that's not a position that we need to solidify in right now. Why don't we spend that money in actual midfielders that we need? I'd prefer Coutinho there, because we need an attacking midfielder. You can go with someone else as well, but I'm just talking about in that position, we need an attacking midfielder. We need a defensive midfielder. We need a box to box, a couple of box to box players. I don't know why. I mean, maybe we can't attract that sort of a player right now, but I mean, I think Bayern have made it clear that Thiago is not going to sign with them. Why don't we go in for him? Like, try to sign Thiago. I'm telling you right now, if we sign Thiago, Aubameyang's place as my favorite player is under jeopardy. I have seen that guy play live. He is too good. The way that he controls the midfield, and you guys know that I'm not saying it lightly when I compare that guy to Aubameyang's status in the team. But Thiago is one serious player, and he would solve so many of our problems in midfield. He's made himself available, but I think
who are you talking about? Thiago Alcantara.
Yeah.
Thiago Alcantara from Bayern. He'll be the exact same type of player that Arteta would need, because before he went to Bayern, in fact, from Bayern, Pep wanted to get him from Bayern to Man City. And
how old is he again? Sorry, how old is Alcantara?
29.
See, that's what we're missing, aren't we? See, Willian and Coutinho, neither of them overwhelm me, but I understand both of them in the fact that we need a kind of a Coutinho player somewhere in our squad, that style of a player, but I don't know if we'd be getting the same one that was at Liverpool. And with Willian, I get it for the experience, because that's maybe something that we could do a little bit more of. But like you hit the nail on the head, and I didn't think of it till you said it, Rohan. Willian to me would be like another Mkhitaryan, and Coutinho to me would be like another Ozil. Because the thing about Coutinho was, I've been reading a lot of all the clickbait stuff, like I know a lot of people have, but it wasn't only so long ago where when they were talking about Coutinho to Arsenal, Coutinho was like, no, I don't want to go there. And then Coutinho went quiet for a while. And I think Coutinho was sitting there looking at the telephone and it weren't ringing. And he was like, fuck. And then the next story I heard was Coutinho contacts Arsenal's board to let them know he's available. And I don't like that, because it was only like, a month before that, he was like poo-pooing it, turning his nose up at it. You don't know if the story's true, but I got the feeling that it was kind of like that wasn't where he would fancy. Now he'll come, just for the payday? I don't want that. Do you know what I mean? And I've read that now, and that's in my mind that he wasn't like, oh, Arsenal were interested. Oh yeah, I'd love to go there. It wasn't the top of his thoughts until no one else came knocking. I don't like that. Willian, Willian, like Rohan says, hot and cold, isn't it? He can have some good games and that, but he can go for a period of time of not doing nothing.
He can disappear real quick. Yeah.
If we're getting him for free and we're paying him 90 to maybe 100 grand, I'd get it. But we're going to be paying more than that, aren't we? Really, it's not going to be 100 grand.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And just for DWTT's benefit, I mean, it's not putting Auba on the bench. They play different positions, but my point was towards my favoritism. Would my allegiances might sort of bend towards Thiago. He's a serious player.
Yeah. Thiago's. I mean, he goes into any team in Europe. He makes them better.
Actually, that's the funny thing that now when I think about it, I saw him play live against Bayern Munich against Dortmund, in which Aubameyang was playing as well and Thiago was playing, and the way that they ran the show in midfield, him, Xabi Alonso, and these guys, it was just mesmerizing to watch them play.
Yeah. Boys, we're getting up against it here. I feel like we, honest to God, could do this all night. So if you don't mind, I'm going to go forward with the announcement. So for those of you watching, if you watch Same Old Arsenal with Craig, Dan Potts, Lee Judges, Graham is part of that show. Harry Symeou is part of that show. First of all, it's a fantastic show, and I'm not just saying that based on what I'm about to tell you.
Is Kevin Campbell on that channel as well?
I think they've had him on as a special guest a few times. Yeah. So Kevin Campbell has been on as a special guest a few times. Starting next season, probably towards the end of this month, the four of us that you're looking at on the screen here will be hosting and the panel of Same Old Arsenal USA. So we will be. Oh, there it is. The Stars and Stripes, baby. Well, Stan was say North.
sorry, Stan.
USA. North USA.
North America. North USA. North America.
There it is. There it is. Let's go. Come on, baby.
I'm from South London.
Craig was kind enough today to make the announcement on the Same Old Arsenal podcast, the original. I will be the host. So there will be some changes on my channel. I'm still working on thoughts of keeping the channel running and different things that I can do, but my focus will be shifting to the Same Old Arsenal USA podcast show, whatever you want to call it. And these three lads here have been kind enough to join me for the most part. So obviously there is a thing called life, and that will get in the way sometimes. But by and large, we will be your esteemed panel for the Same Old Arsenal USA. It will be found on the Same Old Arsenal YouTube channel. So please, please, please go give them a search. If you're not already subscribed to the Same Old Arsenal, please go ahead. Search for them, subscribe to them, like their videos. Those guys do a fantastic job. And I think the only thing we can hope for really is to live up to the standard that those guys have been setting now for the past couple of years. So to say that I'm absolutely gassed that Craig came to me with this opportunity is an understatement. Almost on the level of Patrick Vieira saying that he was a small part of this club's FA Cup history. I don't know if anybody saw that tweet the other day, and I was happy to be a small part of it. It's like, small part? Really? Really? So starting probably the end of August, I would say you'll be able to find us doing our thing with the Same Old Arsenal USA. So guys, thoughts on that moving forward? This is a big step for us. So it's a big step for me. I'm over the moon that Craig came to me with this opportunity. I really am. I'm just humbled and honored that they would think of me to come to me and ask me to do this. And I can't be happier to have the three of you on board with me, honest.
I mean, it's a high bar. It's a high bar that they've set. It's a very good podcast. If anyone that is listening, if you haven't listened to the Same Old Arsenal, they
check
do
it
have
out.
a very good panel on there. I mean, I listened a lot to Harry on his own channel, the Chronicles of Aguna, and I've also been on a couple of podcasts with Lee Judges and also Dan Potts, and I've always enjoyed talking with them. And it's a high bar. They've set a high bar on one that I'm sure that we're going to do our best to reach. And who knows, from time to time, you may, I don't know, there'll be maybe some of them will pop on from the original show and come and say hi and give us a little bit of what they're thinking about Arsenal. But I'm looking forward to it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm really looking forward to it.
Let's just say that I have it on good authority that there will be a few special guests once we get everything kicked off. So,
I mean, just this whole thing. I mean, we love Arsenal and we love talking about Arsenal, and just to be part of another show which has such a wide reach, and the people that have been doing the original show, like Stan said, have set such a high bar, and it's I'm excited. And I hope that we do justice to that.
Very well said.
It's nice to see people, other podcasts collaborating, doing stuff together, collaborating, because there's so much fucking space on the internet. There's space for everybody. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's space for everybody. Pick your poison.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I was just going to say, on Claude and the Band says earlier today, and Stan, we're echoing what Kenny Ken said. There's so much space out here, and anybody really can do what it is that we do, because honestly what we do is we sit around and we just talk about the thing that we love the most, and that's Arsenal Football Club, or one of the things that we love the most anyway. I got a couple of dogs sitting here.
Yeah, my missus wants to know. My missus wants to know when this podcast shit, as she calls it, is going to start paying the rent.
I'm going to get my agent to talk to Craig's people, and we'll go from there now. Listen, man, that's the goal. It's the goal for me anyway. Just a quick little, I guess, backstory on me. I mean, I went to school for college, university, for broadcast journalism, and it just kind of never panned out for me. And with the invent of YouTube and podcasts and things like that, it's given me a voice, and I'm looking forward to getting my voice out there a little bit more. And I'm glad to have the three of you on board with me. And Ryan, anything to say on that? No more dick jokes. No more buttons on a fur coat.
Well, listen. I still have my brothers in arms, my Ars Bros. Which, by the way, we will have a podcast out to you guys. Well, for me, it's gonna be Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. We're gonna be live, 9 o'clock Melbourne time, noon for you UK people. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's. I don't want to see. I don't. It's something different for me. I try to be the funny. Try to bring a little humor to the podcast. I try to keep
being the operative word there.
Yeah, I try to. I don't want to say funny.
Yahtzee, baby.
I want to say I try to keep these three on their toes as best as I can. And I think that this podcast is going to do that for me also. I think it'll be maybe a little different, and I'm excited. I'm excited. I actually have to maybe take notes, maybe watch the game another time.
Watching football now.
You don't take notes already?
maybe
Hang on. Understand. That's Rowan's notes for a court case that he's got to be in. He's got a deposition here in a couple of days. That's what that was.
But yeah, no. Again, it's a different but exciting journey, and I'm excited to do it with you guys. I'm thankful for Arsenal. I'm thankful for the podcast, and I'm thankful for you guys. I don't want to get too chummy. Max is gonna. We'll save it off the air. Max is gonna call me out on it, but yeah, it's exciting, and I can't wait to talk Arsenal with more people, or not necessarily more people, different people. Because I like to think I'm right all the time, but I'm not. So I'm excited to do people.
Let's just hope the same old Arsenal boys don't give us the keys to the kingdom and we fuck it up.
No. Stan. That's exactly the reaction I'm going for.
I'm literally
you give me the key. You give me the key to the castle. Oh, I'm storming the palace, baby. Let's go.
I'm going to upper deck my toilet. The first thing I'm doing is I'm upper decking my toilet. That's what I'm doing. Upper decking the toilet, and on the bed. It is what it is. But yeah, I'm excited. And honestly, Tannen, couldn't happen to a nicer guy. So we're. Hey. I tried to keep a straight face while saying that, but I couldn't do it.
That Venmo payment hasn't posted yet, by the way.
I'm going to start going down to all the posh restaurants in Vancouver and all the nightclubs. When they give me the ass on the door, I'll be like, oi, fucking same old Arsenal, innit I? Podcast. I'm in.
Hey.
I know Harry. I'm friends with Harry, right? I know
league judges. What does that
exactly?
count?
Yeah.
Listen, I don't know about you guys. I have a tattoo of the Ars Bros logo on my ass, so I can just show them that. That'll get us in.
Prove it. Even Max is like, Wait, seriously? Prove it.
I mean, it'll probably be the first thing everybody sees when we go live for the Same Old Arsenal. So you never know.
And there it is. There it is. First time we go live for saying. As soon as Craig watches, all four of these guys are going to take their pants off at the same time.
You'll just see one.
This show's going to be like more like Attitude Era than it is the PG era in WWE.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, this is going to be like the Monday Night Wars.
Ruthless aggression.
Yeah.
Backlash. So that's the big one. Ray's in the comments, and I want to give a special shout out to Ray, because if it wasn't for Ray, I wouldn't have anything near what I have. I started my channel and my show before Ray gave me a chance, but Ray really came to me and was like, hey, let's come on my show, and it really kind of built my confidence up to be able to do this. So Ray, thank you so much for it. And by no means does this mean that Same Old Arsenal will be the only place to find us. That's not at all what this is, Ryan. I think you're going to continue with Ars Bros. That's your thing, man. And I wouldn't ask you to give that up for the world.
I know I've said this, and I keep delaying it because I'm just a fuck, and I have a life. But I'm going to have a show next season for the Ars Bros. I don't want to spoil too much on what everyone else is doing, but I will have a show that I will announce. I mean, I've said it, but I'm going to be covering the Cups and now Europa. Woo! So I'll be talking about all the wonderful teams in Sweden, Azerbaijan, and Belarus. And it's gonna be fun. And again, I will still be here. I still would like to come on Ray's pod and kind of freak him out a little bit and have a good time there. But
absolutely,
it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, the best places to. And I don't want this to try. It's not the me show. It is the us show. The fact is, I can't do the show on my own. Be it on my own channel, or the endeavor that we're going to be embarking on here at the end of the month. But we will be on other shows for sure. So for me personally, it's going to be I got to sit down and brainstorm what it is I want to do with this channel, because I want to keep the channel. I do want to do some other things, so we'll see what the future holds for my channel. But for the time being, I will be putting my focus into Same Old Arsenal. And those guys also did announce that Dan Potts, Potsy as he's called, he does Potts the Potts preview on.
He knows his stuff, man. He really knows his stuff.
He does. He really does. He really does. I implore anybody watching right now, if you don't watch Same Old Arsenal, please, please, please. That's those guys, and I'm not saying this because they've given me and us an opportunity here. They're one of the best ones going. They really are. They know their stuff, and Dan really knows his stuff. He does the Potts preview before every weekend, but he's actually getting his own show on the channel as well. So Same Old Arsenal, it's expanding, and I'm very proud to say that we are all a part of that family now. We will be expanding with them. And just, like I said, thrilled. You'll be able to catch us on multiple shows. Rowan is always on with Ray and Arsenal Fan Circle. I will continue to be on with Ray and Arsenal Fan Circle. Ryan is doing the Ars Bros. You've been on a few other shows. You've been on Ray's channel a bunch.
I'll be on. I'll be there in Arsenal Fan Circle. The Arsenal Fan Circle.
Stan is...
Sorry.
Stan's on with Claude the Fastest. He's got his own thing going on over there. So
what's that?
I said you're on with Claude the Fastest. You know what? Go ahead and plug Claude the Fastest and what you got going on over there.
Well, I did a match reaction thing with Alex on the Cannon Fodder. But it's finished now for this season, and now and again I'm on Claude and the Bansters, and I'm started to do these I've started to do this FIFA rebuild thing that I'm just recording and putting on their channel, but it's getting quite a good reaction. So I do a little bit of that, and obviously as well the Arsenal Fan Circle on on a Sunday and a Thursday. That's sometimes I'm over there with Ray. That's one of the home bases as well. Top channel over there, man. And sometimes with Andrew on the Hinkley Gunner. Sometimes on the Mr. Arsenal podcast, sometimes on Bergkamp Wonderland. Basically, if I get an invite and I can leech and fucking sneak my way onto a show, I'll go because I'm just too lazy to start my own channel and it's too much.
I was just going to say, you know what Stan's doing? Stan's hogging all the glory and doing none of the work.
Yeah, wherever the spotlight is shining, I will try and inch my way into it a little bit.
Build that brand, baby. Build that brand.
Yeah, right. Through everyone else's brand. No,
but yes, every podcast that we've all mentioned, everybody, please check it out.
Seriously. Yep.
I love if people say, "Oh, opinions are like assholes. Everyone has them, they stink." No. Bring those assholes to me, baby. I can listen to all these podcasts all the time. They're great stuff, great content, and great people. You know, so please.
The fact is, we really do. We really do have a great fan base.
Podcast I really enjoy listening to. I've never had any interactions with them and that, but I really enjoy the Arsenal Vision podcast as well.
Yes,
I enjoy listening to those guys as well. They're a really good listen.
I told people Clive's my dad.
What's that?
I told people Clive's my dad, but then they see
Clive for me, he's like the Barry White of Arsenal podcast.
Yeah, he's the best. He's the Barry White. But I don't know if you know what he looks like. If you see him, you'll realize real quick he is not my dad. But I get away with it because it shows that they recorded and they're not on video.
Boys, I think that's it. We're gonna get out of here. Anybody final words? It's been a fun show. It really has been.
I mean,
I wanted to keep it easy and just talk. I didn't want an agenda tonight or anything like that. So I think tonight was fun. So and Captain Yeager has certainly helped that cause.
Bloody hell, yeah.
Yeah, for me right now, I'm still, basking in the glory of the FA Cup. Can't believe that we've still won it. So, although we touched on some things right now, I don't want it to seem to people that things are all rosy, but I don't want to come across as being ungrateful as well. Because, a few weeks ago, maybe like 3 weeks ago also, if you would have told me that we were going to win the FA Cup and such a promising manager and the things that he said after Liverpool and after City, if those things were going to happen, I would be really excited. So from my perspective, there's positives to come. We will critique the final. We will talk about what we could have done differently as well. We will talk about what differently we can do going forward in the squad, but that comes for another day. Today was about celebrating the win. It was about, just talking in brief about how the team has been doing and how Arteta was doing. And, I only rated him because I had something good to say. If I didn't have anything good to say, I wouldn't have rated him at all today.
Here.
Yeah, definitely. I think the hard work starts now. I think the players did their job in winning us that cup. I think Arteta did his job, but I think now it's the board's turn to kind of jack us off a little too. I think we need a big transfer window, and I think we need to bring in some heavy artillery, and I think we need to get rid of some not so heavy artillery. So this needs to be a big step, and I'm excited. I know I didn't say this earlier. I think Willian, whatever the fuck his name is, would be a great last signing. I don't think it's a good first signing, but with that being said, we're making moves. We're doing stuff. We're not signing Petr Cech the last week of the window. We're not bringing in Lucas Perez on deadline day. So
Stefan Liechtensteiner.
Jesus,
Liechtenstein. Sorry,
I forgot that man existed. But yeah, so I mean, the real work and the real ambition starts now, and we just need to really impose our will on this transfer window and put a real big, nice cannon stamp on it for us, baby.
Yeah. Stan?
My final word is, I think it's obvious that this season, the board, the people that own the club, their biggest concern was that we had to get into Europe. They laid out pay deductions, you get into the Champions, you don't get in the Champions League, you lose that. Well, now we've got into the Europa League. That means that the players have clawed back and you lose 7.5%. So Mikel Arteta, he's done what they wanted him to do. He's delivered. It's now, the ball is now firmly in the court of the purse holders, the people that write the checks. Because for me, that this, as good as it is to win the 14th FA Cup, there was so much more riding on this for me. Now that we've won that, it may be the difference of whether we can bring in the Thomas Partey and whether Aubameyang re-signs. That's how big I think that game is. It's now in the hands of the board. They have now got to deliver. So I'm just going to sit back now with a drink and just watch what happens while this transfer window is open.
One thing I will say is Arteta does. I do see Arteta doing some work in this transfer window. I do see him being Wenger-esque and going to some of these players and talking to them and sitting them down like, "Hey, I'm a new manager. This is my plan." And kind of be like that principal. He had somewhat attractive father figure or stepfather, whatever. That was something I watched earlier today.
I'm muting Ryan at this point. He's.
Yeah, but like
sorry,
I said,
I couldn't resist.
He needs to really go to these players and the players that he wants. He needs to sit down and have a good talk with them and lay out his plan and bring these top tier players like a Thiago
Alcantara
that we could bring to this club. You know, like a Thomas Partey, like I mean, maybe not Ruben Meccano, but someone of that nature. You know, I think he could still play a very vital role in this transfer window.
Yeah. That's going to be it. Stay tuned. You can follow me on Twitter. The address is there at The Bearded Gooner. All of our Twitter handles are there for you to follow us. So please give us a follow. I will keep everybody posted on my Twitter account as to what is happening with the Same Old Arsenal USA podcast. What time, what day, what time we're going to be doing this. It'll be East Coast time a little later. So right now we're thinking 9:30-ish, give or take. Not sure of the day yet. We haven't quite ironed that out. I am also going to chat with Craig about that just to see how he wants to play things because it is, at the end of the day, his channel. So thanks, everybody, for watching. Thank you, everyone, in the comments. Ray, Tony, Steven, I saw you in there. Alonzo, I know you ducked out a little while back. Don't waste the tweet, DWTT. I know you're in there right now. Glenn was in there earlier. Stephen Denham, I think I may have mentioned you already. I'm just scrolling back through. Alan, thank you very much for being here. At the end of the day, thank you guys. Thank you. Please smash the like button, hit the subscribe button. Despite the news, there will still be content on this channel going forward. Looking to do at the very least a transfer show. It might only be maybe a half hour long once a week here over the next couple of weeks. Just keep everybody updated on transfers, what the latest rumors are, what the latest signings might be, things of that nature. Ray, Max, Darren, yes, thank you very much, Ray. Appreciate that. Good looking out. Tony, I'm coming to you last, man, because we're gonna sign off. I got a thing here. We're gonna sign off saying goodnight to you. So that's it, fellas. Appreciate it, everybody. And at the end of the day, bottom line, guys, we'll see you out there. So everybody say good night, Tony.
Good night, Tony.
Good night, Tony.